Mataron a Pedro, ¿verdad?
Yeah. Título está fuerte, yeah.
Dímelo, mi gente, estoy aquí con one of my favorite directors, Kristian Mercado. Estamos aquí en el Barrio. This is your hood, right?
Yeah, I grew up here. Estamos en la Fonda Boricua. I guess it's an institution in Spanish Harlem at this point, yeah.
No, for real, I've been here a couple times.
Yeah. It's a dope spot, yeah. But, you know, I love Spanish Harlem, you know.
Me too, this is where I'm staying. Every time I come to New York, I stay here.
I think that's dope. That's the move, honestly, yeah.
I want to let you know that one of the things that inspired me to make videos about Puerto Rico, before I started it on TikTok, I was in high school and you had released Palante.
Oh, wow,
with Mela Murder.
Yeah.
She's from the Florida Project.
The best.
That's really struck me because it was right after Hurricane Maria. My family had moved to Florida and just capturing, you know, the diaspora as well.
Yep.
The pain and the resilience. That really inspired me. And then now we were here with Mataron a Pedro.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about because, you know, Pedro Albizu Campos, such a
pivotal figure. He's kind of forgotten too, you know. I think there's Puerto Ricans that know of him, but you'll be surprised how many Puerto Ricans don't even know him or know his story.
Una lucha. En el tablero no estamos los yanquis y los puertorriqueños solos. En el tablero está todo el hemisferio de América. En el tablero, los poderes coloniales encabezados por los Estados Unidos.
And also, like, Americans in general don't even know his story.
Well, I want to get into the movie. The lead is Ismael Cruz Córdoba, an iconic Puerto Rican actor.
Shout out to Ismael, incredible actor.
I got to meet him in one of the Santas, my very first Santa. I was all alone and he pulled me and I was like, oh my God, he's from the Lord of the Rings, and now he's, you know, representing our founding, one of our political fathers.
Yeah. He's booked and busy, and like, honestly, I feel like he was the only person living that could play Pedro Albizu Campos, you know?
Yeah, and they
like,
look alike.
Yeah, like from the acting, from embodying it, to being the spirit of it. I don't know anyone else who could do it. He's the one, you know?
I want to get into the opening of it. It's set in 1934. The little boy in the beginning, when he's searching from his mother, that was Pedro as a kid, right?
That's one interpretation for sure. I think that's one of the ones I was thinking of. But I also think about, metaphorically, Puerto Rico a lot as like a person sometimes, you know? Like when I was doing Palante back in the day, I had Mela Murder essentially sort of embody Puerto Rico, like by being almost like a single mother. And I felt like, oh, like a single mother is Puerto Rico at the time, right?
Wow.
But then like now I kind of sometimes think about like when we're talking about the status of Puerto Rico and like where we are, kind of sometimes think of it as a lost child, you know, that lost its mother or something, you know?
Talking about mothers, the mother of his own child, Laura.
Yeah, Laura.
She's a pianist. I didn't know she was Peruvian.
Yeah. She's Peruvian, yeah. I had casted Juana Burgos because I thought she's a Peruvian actress and I was like trying to be accurate to it, you know?
Wow, that's awesome.
But she embodied it so much. Like she really did a lot of research on her. And she was an essential part of Pedro's life and movement. And she actually carried on the movement past his death too, you know? So like, I think there's something really powerful about having her there. We're talking about history has been erased. I think it's important to like also highlight the folks that sometimes you don't even see within the hidden history, you know? Maybe we don't think about Laura enough, you know? But it's kind of a beautiful moment too in history where you think about like, damn, Puerto Rico and Peru also intersected there, you know what I mean? And like, she was indigenous too.
Yeah.
And they met in Harvard as well.
Yeah, they were med students or something?
Yeah, they were students together. It's a crazy love story in a way, you know?
I love the scenes of them together as a family. It showed the humanness of him, the intimacy. She would play the piano and they would slow dance the boleros.
I feel like it kind of, to be honest, that happened kind of in this moment. I think there was like this idea of just letting them be a family, like for real, like as actors. I was just letting them kind of find it, you know, and I was rolling on it. But that moment felt powerful to me. One of the best parts about actually premiering at La Leaf was that one of Pedro's descendants was there. And she was there in the audience. And then she came up to me and she was like, yeah, this would have, like, you've honored him. And I was like, I was moved to tears. Yo, I was like, damn.
The greatest compliment to you.
Yo, for real. Like, I was just so shocked that she was there. And she was like, her last name was Albizu. One of the things I was trying to evoke in the film was that Pedro, as a historic figure, sacrificed a lot to like do the things he did. One of the things being his own family, I think, you know? In a lot of ways, I did see parallels to like Malcolm X, kind of like in his family dynamic. He really loved and cared about his family, but he was also like going through this movement and sacrificing the family too, you know? Not in a negative way necessarily, but just because it's what happens sometimes when people take on these bigger than life tasks, you know? You know, and under heavy surveillance and being attacked in many ways, I think it took a toll on him and his family, obviously, you know?
their house got burnt down in that scene.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was very sad.
Yeah, that was it's based on a real event, yeah. Like when you talk to a lot of people about Pedro Albizu Campos, it does sound like you're talking about a conspiracy theory to people. Like people like look at it as almost alien. I find that a lot about Puerto Rican stories in general. Like when you tell them about the birth control.
42% of the women working in one factory outside San Juan were found to have been sterilized.
The bombing, all these like things that basically have been like experiments on the Puerto Rican people. When you talk about Pedro Albizu Campos and you start talking about the radiation testing, people always do like a double take, like that can't be real. And it's like, wait a minute. It's a complex story to explain, so I was trying to simplify it in the best way I could so that people could sort of grasp it and hold it almost.
You definitely got me to research more because after watching this film, I had to see what exactly did they do to him. I saw they would shoot laser beams at him from afar. Then one lady said that he showed his genitals to her and it was burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy they found that out.
Me enseñó, me dice, mira cómo está mi cuerpo de quemaduras. Y entonces, mira mis partes como hombre me desaparecieron y me enseñó. Y yo me quedé muy asombrada cuando lo vi, me dio mucha pena, porque se le veían quemaduras por toda esta parte de aquí, y entonces las partes como hombre era como un carboncito lo que le quedaba.
I think Central PR actually has like one photo of that actually.
Oh, wow.
I found one photo and I was like horrified by it. It was like insane, yeah.
All because, you know, he was for the workers. This was a time, you know, I've been getting into my ancestry and I paid to see the census of my family back in the day. And everybody for generations were manatí, sugarcane, plantation workers, sugarcane. That's what everybody's occupation was. And to see, I learned in this film that after the U.S. got a hold of Puerto Rico, their wages went from 75 cents down to 25 cents.
Yeah.
Dying out there on the field.
That's a really large chunk of money. But that's what American interest was in sugarcane. It was the sugar moguls trying to manipulate the price of sugar. And that's kind of honestly the basis of our government. That's what created our government. You know, like people are still finding ways to do like tax loopholes and weird things in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And it's just because like that is how it was built, you know?
Right. So this was a time when the governor of Puerto Rico was appointed by the U.S. We didn't speak Spanish. Governor Winship.
The Winship,
And then we had Police Chief Riggs, who was corrupt because he was trying to buy.
Oh yeah,
Pedro.
That's a real event too. That conversation actually happened. I was really into that convo because like I think it shows it's like kind of beyond the money. Like it was like, oh, he was showing us that you can't buy an ideal, you know? When people talk about truth, justice, these kind of big lofty things, freedom's a big one, right? Like Puerto Ricans, we have a complex relationship with freedom, you know? Like our relationship, even ideologically to freedom is complex, but that's an ideal you have to uphold somehow. Like you have to ask yourself, like, what is freedom? What is the value of it?
Right.
How do I see it? How do you manifest it? You know, like things like that. And I think Pedro was like a person who had a crazy relationship with freedom, you know, because he was imprisoned a lot of his life, you know?
People went up to him for the labor strikes. Their unions were failing them.
Yep. And he was a lawyer, so like he can kind of like speak to some of those complexities. He helped rally for that. I think that's part of the reason they saw him as a problem, because he was like sort of helping the laborers try to like get their fair wages basically. Right. But he also argued that like the land is theirs, so shouldn't the people who work the land? And that's also like a problem Puerto Rico's having right now with land.
I want to go back to the conversation with Police Chief Riggs when he was trying to buy Pedro to control. He said control the strikers. And then Pedro goes into conversation about his last name, Campos. I thought that was very, very unique.
I think like with like any film, you're kind of like trying to find like an emotional truth mostly, you know? Like, you know, when you watch the movie that Steven Spielberg did of Lincoln, they take some liberties in telling you the essence of who Lincoln is, you know? And I was doing the same with Pedro. I was reading a lot about him and I was doing a lot of research. You know, I took as much from the conversation as I could find. Like researching that, I realized, oh, Campos comes from this.
From the fields.
From the fields, And so like...
That was very unique.
The first draft of the script I had written was all about him uncovering what his name is and like having a relationship with his, because I think his dad didn't want him to carry his name originally, and then like there was a whole thing there. So I was like trying to like write from that perspective, and I had changed the story at some point, but I kind of kept those lines. This man is named, you know, after the field and is protecting them. That's like crazy.
He said that the fields are for the people.
Yep.
And Riggs was all like...
I mean, Riggs was part of this corrupt system that was trying to influence and control and manipulate, you know, to the advantage of like bigger companies like the United Fruit Company, who was like really like all over Latin America, like messing stuff up for years, like trying to like steal resources from places, basically.
You know, in a time where like the U.S. is intervening in all these Latin American countries,
Yeah,
Venezuela, Cuba, I'm from Miami.
no, for real, yeah. Even recently, a lot of the ships that came to Venezuela came out of Puerto Rico.
But I'm from Miami, and you know, a lot of people down there are happy that they're intervening in their country because they said, how worse can it get?
I mean, I imagine in Miami, probably a film like this might hit different. I'm curious how it'll play.
What conversations do you hope this film will spark?
I think it's important to like hold space for each other's histories, you know? Like I kind of always understood like how Latin America is a complicated landscape, you know?
Yeah.
And the complex part of it is that a lot of Western forces come in and manipulate Latin America. Like we've never had, I mean, I think the only time that we maybe got close to like a unified place was Simón Bolívar, you know, when he was Gran Colombia, which I also uphold as some type of ideal sometimes that maybe we'll get to some point like that. I don't know if it'll happen in the near future because this is just my own interpretation of things. Like I think like Latin America is like intentionally divided because it always makes it easier to steal the resources when a place is destabilized, you know? I understand Venezuela has a really complex history, and I'm not gonna like undermine the suffering that has happened there, you know? But I don't think America has like the best intentions either. Like I think they just obviously want the oil and the resource, you know? They're offering one thing for another thing, you know? And it's like, how much ownership of our own resources can we have if we, you know, if other power always comes and takes it, you know, or manipulates it. So I don't know. I'm sure that I'm hoping things get better over there, you know.
Me too.
But it always sometimes feels like we're trading one evil for another, you know, or a lesser evil. And so we have to kind of be careful about that.
I can already smell people calling us communists.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's like I said, like it's complicated. I mean, I think Puerto Rico and Cuba have like a very like
the most similar.
Yeah,
countries.
we're two nations. We're one nation divided by a force, you know? Like I always look at the Caribbean as like one. A lot of people always argue about like, oh, we can't sustain ourselves. And it's like, well, because we're looking at it as like one island. We're more like an archipelago. And like we all got split up by like all these different Western forces. Like where our philosophies are all kind of sort of born out of there. Like Puerto Rico is like a capitalist showcase and Cuba was a socialist showcase, you know? And we didn't really have like a say in that, you know? Like we were just both military pawns of these bigger forces, and they kind of like dictated our ideologies a lot, you know?
Right. Now, Pedro Albizu Campos, he would have these rallies, these speeches, and masses of people would come and protest.
Yeah.
There was this one massacre at the end.
Yeah.
Was that the Ponce Massacre?
Yeah, that was a big event. Yeah, I think that was one big event that like escalated things and moved it along a timeline really fast because like, yeah, Massacre de Ponce was like an event where people were like protesting, and then there was just like, they just shot at the crowd and they killed a bunch of people. They killed children actually too.
There's pictures of it.
Yeah, there's pictures. I found a lot of the photos at Centro PR, which is such a valuable resource. Like Centro PR is like a place. Yeah, shout out to Centro PR because like they really do a great job at cataloging everything Puerto Rican. Like it's incredible. I found photos I had never seen before of the Massacre de Ponce and like those events, and we kind of combined it with like different history.
I think that leaves us off at a perfect ending because my last card was the last line that Pedro said. ¿Sientes la libertad o solo su sombra?
Oh man, yeah.
What does that
mean? You know, man, I'm like, this is full of spoilers, I feel.
Oh shoot, let me know.
No, I don't mind. I think at some point it's gonna have to live online and people will see it. But that line is really, it came to me almost as the last bit of it. It's mostly because I was going through his life and his history and kind of living with him so much that I had to start asking questions about freedom myself, you know?
Yeah, I saw it as like a question for the viewers. To
really
reflect on.
Yeah, like Puerto Ricans, when it comes to the relationship with the US, we're always like, oh, but at least we're free, And it's like, I had pictured an eagle and you're living under this, like the shadow of that eagle, you know? And that's how I saw it, but you're a little mouse. You know, you're a little mouse and the eagle is flying over you, or a coquí, and you feel the shadow, and because you're under the shadow of freedom, you think, oh, wow, I am free, you know?
Yeah.
Like you think, because I somehow benefit from the shadow of freedom, I am free. And it's like, wait a minute, no. Just because you're under the shadow of freedom doesn't mean you have freedom. That's a spiritual awakening that I had through investigating Pedro's life so much and understanding like freedom from his point of view almost, you know?
If you don't mind, can we touch on, I know we mentioned on the call, it was difficult filming in Puerto Rico, or?
Yeah, it's hard. I think Puerto Rico has a lot of challenges when filming. Like, okay, it's not like the rest of Latin America. Like, let's say you're making a film in Mexico and you're Mexican, you're getting the government to support you because the government is invested in its own people. But because Puerto Rico is a colony, it's not like the US is intentionally like investing in our cinema, you know? So that's like why we've been struggling a lot.
I see Marvel movies are filmed there, Disney movies, Teen Beach Movie, Wizards of Every Place. All my childhood movies were filmed in Puerto Rico, but how come we can't have our own
Well, here's the
stories?
thing with Puerto Rico, it serves as a landscape for like others to come at. Like you have like these bigger productions come in and they utilize us as kind of a vendor, you know? But the top creative doesn't come from Puerto Rico. They kind of use us for like, you know, our grips, our electric, our infrastructure, our landscape, you know? I mean, shout out to, I'm glad that they kind of keep an ecosystem alive for like for film, like the people who are working there as craftsmen, and that's important. Like I want them to be sustainable and like have good careers and like money and stuff. Like that's important, I think, to keep a healthy structure. But I think like there always has to be a balance between like big productions and independent cinema. And at the end of the day, those big productions aren't like reflecting us like that necessarily. They're like our landscapes, like because Puerto Rico plays as Mexico, plays as Cuba, it plays as others. But like how many times does Puerto Rico play itself, you know? Like it's not often, you know? Sometimes we do play ourselves, but you know, it's always like an outside force dictating the terms and conditions of like a production in our own island, you know what I mean? And like we should probably question that a little bit. Like why aren't we able to like tell like bigger story? Like this also is crazy because it's thematic to the movie. Obviously, we all know that even
Puerto
Rico is not
Residente and Bad Bunny.
Con Residente and Bad Bunny. Shout out to Residente and Bad Bunny. I love Rene, by the way.
I love Rene too.
He's like really carving out a powerful space for like Puerto Rican cinema right now. Like he's gonna like change the landscape, I think, you know. So
his documentary about searching his DNA route to making music also is another huge inspiration that started me for making music.
Oh yeah. He's an incredible inspiration for all of us.
But it's hard to film in Puerto Rico.
But he literally isn't going to be able to film his movie that's about Puerto Rico and Puerto Rico. And you know, we should all ask the question why, like that. I find that it's really hard to film in Puerto Rico unless you have like a massive project or support. Like if you're an independent filmmaker on the island, you're gonna kind of struggle. Sometimes you can't hit the tax incentives. There's not much infrastructure to support the artists locally. I think like it's hard to create like there is an emerging independent cinema scene. Like shout out to like Esta Isla, Summer of Three, like everybody. Like the Fish Tank, was it?
La Pecera.
La Pecera.
Amazing
Shout out to La Pecera, which also kind of feel like helped start some of that, and La Granja with Angel, and you know, I don't know, I'll throw myself in the mix too, and my stuff too. Hopefully, my short films. It's kind of becoming a movement. I think like we're finally kind of building a community, and I think it'll always have a relationship to the U.S. because like we'll always have to try to like almost like find the resources and then bring them back to the island as much as we can, you know. And I think we need to support infrastructure in Puerto Rico so that like we can create more filmmakers with strong voices, because I don't want the future of Puerto Rico films to be like just a vendor relationship where like some other person, entity comes to us to tell us what stories we can tell or use us as manual labor only. Like our stories and our brilliance, you know, because we're a small island and we make incredible impact culturally, and we can make that same impact in film. But film is a big canvas and it's an expensive canvas. Some say it's the biggest canvas, and we need to fight to get there, you know. And what I learned from Pedro is that sometimes you have to make a sacrifice here and there, or you got to be vocal. The most powerful thing you have in film is your voice. And you can't let anyone take that from you.
Right.
Like you have to own your voice, you know. So like, I want to encourage other Puerto Rican filmmakers to understand that, like, your voice is what makes you powerful. Right. Damn, that was a bar. Whoa, chills up. So somebody in an executive office somewhere is like, shut that man up. Shut that guy up. Does he have any projects with us? Get him out.
Bueno, mi gente, you guys have to watch this Puerto Rican film, filmed in Puerto Rico, Mataron a Pedro. Get to know our history, the true history. We've been through a lot. Thank you, Kristian Mercado, for being
Muchas
here
gracias
with me
por
aquí
tenerme.
en el barrio.
Ha sido un placer,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all your work too.
Oh, where can people find this film?
It will drop online at some point. We're gonna do like a bunch of concentrated like showings, and then I'm really working hard to try to get it online as soon as I can. And
All right.
we'll share the link as soon as possible. Maybe we can re-up at that point. Like maybe we do
We'll
a
revisit.
little drop and let you guys know. But please watch it online or if you can find your local screening as well. And we'll be updating it a lot on the Albizu Film page and my personal page, Kristian Mercado at Instagram. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Mataron a Pedro.
Mataron a Pedro. Cuídense.